We, the jury, find the defendant guilty.
He was mad, and he took out his anger, and he took out his frustrations on Karina, grabbing her, throwing her to the ground, beating her, and strangling her until she was dead.
At just 19 years old, he brutally attacked a young woman, strangled her to death, and then calmly walked away like nothing ever happened. For months, it looked like he had gotten away with it. But here's the part you need to remember, because everything in this case comes down to it. The only reason this man got caught was because of something that woman did while he was killing her. Something so small, you could miss it. That detail alone will disturb you.
All right, Chanel, why don't we start with, I think it was a Tuesday evening on August 2nd, 2016. Do you remember that date and that evening?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And where were you at that time?
I was in at Gateway and Spring Creek Mall.
Okay, by Gateway and Spring Creek Mall?
Spring Creek Park.
Park?
Yeah.
All right. Were you inside the park?
Yeah,
Okay. And was anyone with you, or were you by yourself?
by myself.
All right. About what time did you get to the park?
About 5 o'clock.
Karina Vetrano was 30 years old. She worked with autistic children in Manhattan during the day. On the evening of August 2nd, 2016, she laced up her running shoes, stepped out of her house in Howard Beach, Queens, and walked into Spring Creek Park. She never walked back out. This case broke the internet. It shook New York City to its core. And for 6 months, 6 long, agonizing months, her killer walked free. Everything you're about to hear comes straight from autopsy reports, DNA forensic analysis, videotaped confessions, and the findings of 2 separate criminal trials. But here's what changed everything. This wasn't just a murder. What the evidence revealed about this man went so deep, so dark, that some of the officers who worked this case needed psychological help afterward. To understand how this happened, we have to go back to the beginning. Howard Beach, Queens. A working-class neighborhood on the edge of New York City, where neighbors know each other by name. Families have lived on the same blocks for generations. People jog in the mornings. Kids ride bikes. It's the kind of neighborhood where you leave your door unlocked. Right at the edge of that neighborhood sits Spring Creek Park. 2 square miles of natural preserve, isolated trails, thick brush, reeds that grow up to 10 feet tall, beautiful on the surface, but step off the main path and you disappear completely. That's where Karina ran. Karina Vetrano was 4 feet 11 inches. Don't let that fool you. The woman had a master's degree from St. John's University. She worked with autistic children in Manhattan as a speech pathologist during the week. On weekends, she worked at a club in Astoria. Her friends called her a tiny firework of energy, the kind of laugh that fills an entire room. But her favorite thing in the world? Running with her dad. Phil Vetrano is a retired FDNY firefighter, a 9/11 first responder, the kind of man who ran into burning buildings for a living. Every single day, he and Karina hit those trails together. It was their thing, their ritual. On August 2nd, 2016, Phil's back gave out. He couldn't run. Karina went alone. He had a bad feeling the moment she left. Now, 3 miles away in East New York, a 19-year-old named Chanel Lewis was sitting in his mother's apartment. Unemployed, no girlfriend, no friends to speak of. He lived with his mother, 3 sisters, and their children in a low-income housing project. He had nowhere to be and nothing to do. What no one realized was how deep that darkness inside him actually ran. Chanel Lewis didn't just wake up violent on August 2nd, 2016. This had been building for years. When Lewis was 15 years old, he walked up to a teacher's aide at his school and told her he wanted to stab all the girls in his class. Not one girl, all of them. Police were called. He was taken into protective custody and transported to Kings County Hospital for psychiatric evaluation. That should have been the loudest warning sign imaginable. It wasn't the last one either. Months later, he threatened a female student and her entire family. He was hospitalized again. Eventually, the school system transferred him to a specialized institution for students with emotional and behavioral difficulties. Former classmates remembered him clearly, not because he was threatening, but because he was invisible. He walked the halls with his hood pulled over his head every single day. No friends, constant target for bullies. Even girls picked on him. They hit him. They mocked the way he dressed, the way he looked. By 2013, Lewis was already collecting summonses connected to Spring Creek Park, the very same park where he would later take Karina's life. Then, in May 2016, just 3 months before the murder, NYPD Lieutenant John Russo spotted Lewis in Howard Beach. It was 80 degrees outside. Lewis was wearing a hoodie, walking slowly past houses, peering into parked cars. Russo called it in. By the time officers arrived, Lewis was gone. But Russo logged his name and address. Karina got home from work that evening, August 2nd, 2016, and decided to run. Phil tried to stop her. His back was destroyed. He couldn't go with her. He looked at his daughter and told her straight. He didn't feel right about her going alone that day. She smiled at him and said, "Don't worry, I'll be fine." Those were the last words Phil Vetrano ever heard his daughter say. Surveillance cameras picked her up entering Spring Creek Park at around 5 p.m. Head up, strong stride, just another evening run. What those cameras didn't show was Chanel Lewis, already deep inside that park, walking the trails, headphones in, but don't let that paint a calm picture. Earlier that day, a neighbor had been playing loud music outside his building. It set him off. He left the apartment carrying that rage with him. He carried it straight into that park. When Karina came running toward him on that trail, that rage had a target. Now, pay attention, because this is where the evidence starts stacking up. Lewis grabbed her by the shoulders. She didn't get the chance to scream. He punched her 5 times, direct hits to her face and her mouth. She was 4 feet 11 inches. He kept swinging, but Karina didn't go down without a fight. She bit him, hard, so hard that she chipped her own teeth in the process. A fragment broke clean off and buried itself deep into Chanel Lewis's hand. That tiny fragment would eventually take his entire freedom away. He dragged her 10 feet off the trail into the tall reeds. When investigators later examined her body, the imprint of his hand was still visible on her neck. Her athletic clothing had been pulled down. His DNA was on her neck, under her fingernails, on her cell phone found lying just feet from her body. Then he walked out of that park and went home. Hours later, Phil's gut feeling became unbearable. He went searching. He found his daughter face down in the reeds, her legs still in a running position, like her body never got the message. He dropped to his knees. He lifted her. He refused to let go. Chanel Lewis left that park convinced he had left nothing behind. But Karina made sure he was dead wrong.
We have a very active crime scene in a very remote area. So we're searching this as best we can in a very tough condition. The grass is very high. We're using machetes to search for additional evidence wherever we go.
Here's where this case gets insane. Investigators pulled DNA from the crime scene immediately. They ran it through every database available. Local, national, nothing came back. So they went wider. Over 600 DNA samples collected, 1,700 investigative reports reviewed, 250 leads followed up. They released a composite sketch of a man spotted near the park that day, wearing a wool cap in August heat, in New York City summer. Think about that. Still nothing. Karina's family created a GoFundMe that raised over $290,000. The case was all over national media. 6 months passed. No arrest, no suspect, no answers. Then January 2017. Lieutenant John Russo is sitting at his desk reviewing case files. and something clicks. He remembers the man in the hoodie. The man he spotted in Howard Beach back in May 2016, peering into cars in 80-degree weather. The man he had logged in a stop-and-frisk report. Chanel Lewis. Russo picked up the phone and called Chief Boyce. Later, Boyce said, "There was something in Lieutenant Russo's voice that made me think this might actually be the one." They jumped on it immediately. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Lewis's own father, trying to defend his son, accidentally handed investigators the key to the entire case. He told detectives Lewis couldn't have committed the murder because he personally took him to the hospital the very next day. Detectives canvassed every hospital. They found the doctor who treated Lewis. That doctor told them he had removed a foreign object from Lewis's hand. That foreign object was a fragment of Karina Vetrano's chipped tooth. She fought so hard that she left her mark inside his body. And that mark led police straight to her killer. Lewis voluntarily submitted a DNA swab. It matched the DNA on Karina's fingernails, on her neck, on her phone.
Myself and my family owe everything to the NYPD and can only ever hope to bring justice to my daughter Karina through them and their hard work.
My daughter was a big believer of karma. And as you could see, she's magical. The whole world knows she's magical. And I guarantee you, you will pay forever.
On February 4th, 2017, Chanel Lewis was brought in for questioning. The next morning, February 5th, he confessed. He described what he did to Karina Vetrano the same way someone describes what they had for lunch. Calm, flat, matter of fact. He told detectives he grabbed her, punched her 5 times in the face and mouth, dragged her 10 feet into the reeds, said the whole thing lasted about 5 minutes. Then the detective asked him about her tooth. Her tooth broke, Lewis said. That was a woman fighting for her life, and that's all he had to say about it. As he was taken into custody, he said, "Please tell my mom I'm sorry."
Were you inside the park?
Yeah,
Okay. And was anyone with you, or were you by yourself?
by myself.
All right. About what time did you get to the park?
About 5 o'clock
And were you on a trail or you in the grass?
on the trail.
Okay. Now, while you were in the park, did something happen?
Yes.
What happened while you were in the park?
On the park, there was this girl jogging, and then one thing led to another because
Did she scream?
because her tooth broke.
I'm sorry? Her tooth broke? Right. Were you covering her mouth at all? No? Okay. How long would you say you were hitting her for? About how long in time? I mean,
The whole thing was like about 5 minutes.
5 minutes? All right.
His family's response was immediate. His mother said her son was innocent. His father told reporters, "He is a wonderful young man. He cannot kill such a strong girl." His brother said Lewis was too skinny to overpower someone like Karina.
To the family, I'm sorry for their loss, but they have the wrong person.
He's a wonderful young man. Wonderful young man.
My brother is a skinny, you saw him on the TV. He's a skinny guy who cannot kill such a strong girl because she's a strong person. He is alone, can never kill a person like that.
Today, I would like to thank all those who have reached out and give their support for me and my family. I love my son. I support my son. I raised my son to be a God-fearing man and to respect life. My son is friendly, God-fearing, and would not hurt anybody. My son has a mental health problem and needs help. He's not a criminal and need mental resources. Please respect my family privacy. Please respect my family privacy in this matter and allow my son to get help in due process.
The family hired attorneys. Lewis pleaded not guilty. He was indicted on 13 counts related to murder and sexual assault and was looking at life in prison. November 2018. First trial. The defense argued the confession was coerced, that the DNA evidence was compromised, that there were no eyewitnesses, that detectives had pressured a mentally vulnerable young man into saying things that weren't true.
Jury is understanding that DNA is not all it, confession is not all it, and there are issues in the case that, as you all see, it's much more complex.
Is this a win for you?
Yeah.
Well, it's not a conviction, so I guess that's a good thing, but closure would be a good thing too.
The prosecution's argument was simple and brutal. They crossed paths by chance. She didn't provoke him. He saw her and he killed her. The jury deliberated, and then came back deadlocked. 7 jurors voted guilty, 5 voted not guilty. The judge had no choice. Mistrial declared. Karina's family walked out of that courtroom in complete silence. After everything they had been through, 2 years of waiting, justice had slipped through their fingers.
That my daughter was a force to be reckoned with. And I guarantee you that you will be reckoning with that force, not only for the rest of your pathetic life, but for the rest of eternity as you burn in hell. My daughter was a big believer of karma. And as you could see, she's magical. The whole world knows she's magical. And I guarantee you, you will pay forever.
Justice will be served, okay? That's why we have the PD. That's why we have God. Justice will be served.
March 2019. Retrial. Prosecutors came back with something new. Lewis's internet search history. In the months leading up to his arrest, he had been searching. Indictments, plea deals, criminal prosecution, news coverage of Karina's murder. A guilty man watching the walls close in. Phil Vetrano took the stand again. At one point, he dropped to his knees in front of the jury and described finding his daughter's body in those reeds. The courtroom went silent. One day before deliberations, an anonymous letter arrived, allegedly from an NYPD officer, claiming police had conducted a racial dragnet, collecting DNA from over 360 black men in the area. The defense filed an emergency motion. The judge denied it. After the verdict came in, juror misconduct allegations surfaced. One juror allegedly told others she had already made up her mind from day one. The judge reviewed every claim and rejected them all. April 1st, 2019. Guilty. 3 counts of murder. 1 count of sexual abuse.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty.
Breathing can begin for us.
Now my baby has justice.
Mr. Vetrano, thank you.
Keep moving on.
Say it again. Thank you, Jesus. Sir, your thoughts?
Jubilation.
You're not allowed to interview.
Justice.
I'm thanking those jurors for listening to the overwhelming evidence.
All the anger, all the years of pain, but mostly the anger was lifted and gone.
The day finally came. April 23rd, 2019. Karina's family walked into the courtroom carrying 3 years of pain, 2 trials, 1 mistrial, and a grief that had hollowed them out completely. Phil Vetrano stood up, faced the man who killed his daughter, and didn't hold back a single word. That monster killed 4 people the night of August 2nd. 1 is in heaven. The other 3 walk the earth as zombies, just waiting to die to be with Karina again. There is no more pleasure in life.
That if you stand up here today in court and ask for her forgiveness, tell her you're sorry, she will forgive you. But remember, those are not my words, and I will never forgive.
Kathy Vetrano walked to the front holding her daughter's work shoes, the same ones Karina put on the morning she was murdered. These are the shoes of a giant, a valiant warrior, and a queen.
These are Karina's shoes. These are the shoes that she put on the morning of August 2nd as she prepared to work and wore throughout the workday. As tiny as they are, Your Honor, these are the shoes of a giant, a valiant warrior, and a queen.
At times, you could see Lewis over her shoulder.
The vacant expression you show is merely a reflection of your detached and empty soul. You suffered and died a million deaths every second of every day. You breathed, you ate, you searched your phone for pornography and forcible rape. But God was watching you all the time, Chanel Lewis.
Then Lewis stood up and said, "I'm innocent. I'm sorry for the family's loss, but I didn't do this." Judge Alois looked straight at him. "When that day comes, you'll be behind bars. Life in prison, no parole, plus 32 additional years."
He's a kind, gentle person, loving person. Yeah, well, I didn't go to her. He would never take another person's life as a black man. Because he's a white person, they're framing my brother. They need to get up off the and go find the real killer and take my brother out of jail. The cops are so corrupt, I do not trust any cops.
In February 2026, his conviction was upheld on appeal. He is not going anywhere. This case also changed New York law. Familial DNA searching is now permitted in murder and rape cases. A fight Karina's family refused to give up. A scholarship was established in her name.
We have something good coming out of this. We have a scholarship. And I ask all of you to please pledge to that.
And every morning, Phil returns to Spring Creek Park, to the exact spot where he found her. Karina went for a run she had taken 100 times before. She never made it home. But the fight she put up in those final moments is the only reason her killer is behind bars today. She never stopped fighting. Not even at the end.